Hi guys, I'm Jim from Onlyslaggin. This is our barbecue shack. This is Brisket Hot and Fast, and this is our very first YouTube video. So we're going to start off our day here today for our hot and fast cook. And we went down to the Smokey Mountain here. We're going to go with a mix of briquettes and lumpwood today, because we're going to go hot and fast. Getting a good base of briquettes in here, and we're just pushing them out to the sides. And then I'm going to add in a little bit of lumpwood in the bottom. I'm going to add in my smoking woods, and then we're going to light a full chimney starter, and we'll get it going. It's going to go on top of all that, and that should be enough heat for us to go with today. So I have two decent size pieces of post oak here, and we're going to put them in here, and that's going to be our smoking woods for today. And a little more lumpwood in our chimney starter. We're going to load the chimney starter with lumpwood. And then we're going to light this, add this to the top of the fire, and then that's going to look after our fire for the rest of the day. Okay, so we've got our packer brisket here. So USDA brisket in from the States, corn fed, so it should have a nice layer of marbling and stuff through it here. So we're going to get it opened up, dry it off, trim it down, and then we'll get it seasoned up to trim the fat and stuff off here while it's still cold. Once it gets warmed up, comes up to room temperature, that type of thing, this all sort of gets a lot softer and gets a lot harder to trim down. So quite nice looking brisket. I've got a good size flat and a nice sort of fatty point end up here. Not too much in the way of the silver skin and stuff here, so we're going to trim this off a little bit. This isn't for a competition cook or any of that sort of stuff, so I'm not going to be too worried about it. Just going to be trimmed up. It's going to be for us for dinner over the next few nights. So we'll start working on it. The first thing I'm going to do is trim off some of this fat. So I'm going to trim it down. We're going hot and fast here today. We're going to trim it down maybe a couple of centimetres, half an inch maximum, and on top, and then take everything else off that's down here and expose most of that meat. So we'll just get the ball rolling. So I'm just trimming off the edges. So that's a good big size piece of fat we're looking for there, and again you can see it's all fat is in there. So I'm going to continue on doing this here, and then we'll get you back on again. Then I'll have it all prepped and ready to go. So our charcoal's now at the temperature. We've got a bit of a fire going down below here. Add that in. Around 400 degrees Fahrenheit, sort of 175 to 200 degrees Celsius. So inside here, I'll maybe lift you up here so you can see that. So we have nothing on the inside. We have no pans, no grills, no nothing yet. So we won't be putting a water pan in until we're about sort of 2 hours into this cook. But the top rack, get it warmed up, get it scrubbed down, and then we'll be ready to go. Brisket trimmed up here the way we want it. I've changed my gloves, so we have nice fresh gloves to work with. Today what we're going to use is Suckle Busters 1835. So that's their beef rub, and I'm going to use that as my base layer, my first rub when it goes onto the brisket here. Then after that I'm going to go in with a little bit of the Four River Smokehouse brisket rub. So I'll put on a good layer of this, possibly maybe 2 layers of this, depending on how it goes on. And then on this one here, it's just a slightly thicker grain. So this will give me more of a sort of chunkier bark. I'm going to start off then with the Broiler Gold Hickory Oil. And this is just going to be our binder. So this isn't actually going to add any flavour to this, because the amount of time it's going to be on there for the smoke and everything else is going through it and all the rubs are going on. This is purely just to help the rub adhere to the meat. So I'm just using a pan, not putting too much on here, just using a sort of tin catering pan here, and primarily that's just to help keep it all nice and clean and keep the rub contained within here as opposed to going all over my workspace area here. So nice even layer rubbed all over. A bit more. And so the first one we're going in with is in the suckle busters. So you'll notice that I've got a dirty hand and a clean hand. So this hand's just touched the oils, touched the food stuff, the stuff I want to use again. It's not actually touching the meat. So start off, I'm going from a bit of a distance, and we want a nice even coat to go all the way over the brisket. Okay, we're back onto the original side, and we have just done one pass of the suckle busters, and all we're going to do now on this last side is go in with a little bit more of the brisket rub from Four Rivers. So I'll just put a little bit in my hand, and you can see the coarseness of this rub in contrast to the contrast there with the suckle busters one. So that's why the finer one is my base rub, and then the more coarse one then is my my top rub. So just going in here lightly, and I'm hoping for a sort of more coarse texture then on this on the top. Okay, so I've set the wee eye grill up here. It's reading at the moment at 349, so 350 degrees. I've set this to Fahrenheit, and if we want to aim around the sort of 400 degrees Fahrenheit as I've talked about. So I've already cleaned the grates off here. What we're going to do is get the brisket loaded on here in the middle. I'll see how it sits, and maybe I can put a wee bit of wood underneath it to help the top of it sit up. We don't want any sort of pooling of fluid on top of that. And then what I'm going to do is every sort of 25 to 35 minutes, I'm going to do 1/4 turn of the grill, and I'm going to go in a clockwise direction. That way I'll remember what way I'm going to go around with this here. And every time I open the lid here and I'm doing a 1/4 turn, I'm going to give it a quick spritz. Half an hour, we'll rotate it around, and that should avoid any direct heat spots that we have down below, because you remember we haven't got our water pan in, so we have no direct sort of indirect heat from the fire to the brisket. And I'm going to start off going fat side down. So got it left in there, and move that wee temperature probe. The season has all adhered nicely. It's gone a little bit moist. You can sort of, I don't know if you can see that in the camera, but you can sort of see it's almost a little bit damp. So what I might do, this is going to puff up quite a bit because it's on hot and fast. I'm going to put a little bit of wood just under the middle of it, under here, and then that will create a bit of a dome, and then that will stop it from pulling there at that point. Here we go, nice bit of pecan. I'll just lift it up, get that underneath, and set on top. So the next time we'll look at this will be in 30 minutes, and we'll see how we get on from there. Okay, so the first 30 minutes have passed. Got a little bit of colour on here. We're going to do the turn now. We have about 2 hours past now. The brisket's coming along nicely, but it's still not, the bark's still not completely set. So what we're going to do now is, Rom's going to step in here now, so the blade's still attached there. So Rom's going to lift out this the top grill, and I'm going to drop in the empty water pan now below, and that'll give us a bit more indirect heat. So Rom, if you can just lift that out for me. Just be careful it doesn't fall. And then I'm going in with the empty water pan. That's us, I'm back in again. And then using the gloves there, if you can just spin it around one more 1/4 turn, that's it, that's us. So, And we're nearly there. We're getting to the point where I would say in the next 20-30 minutes we'll maybe we're going to think about wrapping here soon. So the bark seems to be fairly well set in that. It's not I'm scrubbing it, it's not moving when I'm scrubbing it, and that's what we're looking to achieve. We're looking the bark to be formed on the outside of it. Once that's done, then it's time to wrap. So I'm going to lift this across here now, and then we'll get it on the tin foil. So feeling nice, get a wee jiggle on it. So, but we've got all the smoke and the bark formed, so all the smoke we're going to be able to get on it is on it, and the bark's already formed. So what we're going to do now is wrap it in the tin foil. I'm going to add a little bit of stock. Will do. I'm just going to start to form a bit of a tent, adding a little bit of stock in here, and this is going to help tenderize. So we want to get it wrapped as tight as possible, because the tighter we can get it, the less steam we're going to actually have, and the more we'll be able to preserve our bark on the inside. And this is not the time to scrimp on your tin foil. You put all that work into it. You want to make sure you get a nice, tight wrap. Okay, so that's ready to go back onto the smoker. So it's been on the Smoky Mountain here now for just in around the 3 hour mark. I'm going to leave it back on here again for about another hour and a half. I was aiming in around the 4 hour mark, but the priority was to get that bark formed. Once the bark's formed, everything else then will follow in after that. So the whole cook the whole way down has gone fat side down, and I'm going to leave it fat side down now and put it back on again. It's lifted off, so you've seen it already wrapped it. We've had it on here. It's been on here ever since, and what we're going to do is now lift it off and bring it over to the towels and get it wrapped for the next resting period. So what we have here now is old towels. We just use these old towels for the likes of wrapping briskets or wrapping cooked meats and stuff up. So it's just about keeping that heat inside, and we don't want to lose any of that. So we've done it with the foil. We're just going to do the same again now with the towels. And it's about reducing the air down inside the wee hot box here. So just like a polystyrene box, a bit like a cooler, except I just use this for resting meats. So I've got a fleece towel in the bottom of this here, and it's just the same thing. We want to reduce the amount of air inside this, think of it as a cooler, and just keep wrapping up here as we go for the brisket. And the more air that we can keep out, the more efficient basically this box is going to be for us. So inside, lid on, and that can stay there now until we are ready to carve up. So I'm thinking it's probably going to be in around the sort of 2 hour mark. We're going to put on a little bit of mac and cheese here, probably a few other bits and pieces to go with this here. I'm thinking we're going to do some slices, maybe some sandwiches. We got a fresh delivery of rolls and stuff there from a local bakery today, so we have a sort of choice of between Belfast Paps and buttermilk rolls. So I don't know, we'll see what way we go with, but there'll definitely be mac and cheese in the menu, and yeah, we're going to treat ourselves here tonight. So okay, so we're going to lift the brisket out now and carve it and see how we get on. So that's probing nice, feels good. It's looking nice. Does smell good. So, let's see, Ron, can you lift that tin foil away from me? Just watch it doesn't spill everywhere. So, we'll give it a cut and see how we get on here. Nice. Certainly looks good. Let's see if we can run close on this. Plenty of moisture on it. So we'll do a slice test here and see how it holds up under a slice test. So we're going for pencil thin slices. So the idea of having it under a pencil thin slice is it should hold under its own weight. So that's how we're looking. Feels nice. Nice bend on it. Holding under its own weight. And it should pull nicely apart. So it's pulled nicely, let's see. Right, so we'll do a couple of slices from the end. So this is from the flat end now. So this is the end that we would traditionally use for the likes of our chilies and stuff like that. We're sort of big fans of the point end. So that's our flat end there. Again, holding under its own weight, and just with a minimal resistance pulling apart. And let's see, I'll take a slice now from the flat end. Let's see, and this is the end that we're going to use for our burnt ends. And to be honest, we'll probably use this for some of our sandwiches and stuff here as well. So, it's there, looking quite nice. So, looking forward to cooking this here this evening. Nice bit of brisket point there. Plenty of juice in it. So that's going to be us this evening. Cheers, guys.